Future Miscreants Risen Dragon here with a fun deck for you today, and today we are doing Skeleton Typal. Yep, you heard me right. Skeleton Typal it is, and this is a deck that I gotta say packs a lot of punch, and for a skeleton build, you might think, well, it shouldn't, but it does. So let's go through some of the big key cogs of this build. We'll go from there. The big centerpiece is, of course, Corpses of the Lost. Skeletons you control get +1/+0 and have haste. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature token. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, you may pay 1 life. If you do, return it to its owner's hand. So with a little bit of life trading, we can make this deck sing with this particular card. So what do we do to fill out the rest of it? Well, we have Forsaken Miner, can't block. Whenever you commit a crime, you may pay 1 black mana. If you do, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now, of course, committing a crime is targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyard. Persistent Specimen. For 2 and a black, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Kind of fun when you have this on the board and that's in the battlefield. Tinybones, the Pickpocket. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's library, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. So this is an incredibly powerful card, especially late game. March of Wretched Sorrow, because as I think it was the Publius pointed out in one of the videos I saw, I think it was for I think it was Brew Lab's video. He said, how can you combat mono red? And you're gonna have to gain life somehow. We're not running any life flinkers or anything like that, so we have to go with March of Wretched Sorrow. Of course, it deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. You can exile any number of black cards from your hand, and it costs 2 less. So you can definitely gain a lot of life there. Case of the Stashed Skeleton. It's a tutor card. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/1 black skeleton creature token and suspect it. If you control no suspected skeletons, for 1 and a black and sacrifice the case, you search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. Go for the Throat. Target a non-artifact creature goes bye-bye. Pilfer. This is one thing that I'm seeing from some of the other builds that when they're not running, actually, and it's hand disruption. Pilfer is the only hand disruption that we're running, but it's really powerful. Target reveals their hand, choose a non-land card from it, and target player discards that card. So we can actually set up Tinybones pretty well with that particular build. Gisa the Hellraiser. For ward 2 and pay 2 life, skeletons and zombies you control get +1/+1 and have menace. Whenever you commit a crime, create 2 tapped 2/2 black and blue zombie rogue creature tokens. It triggers only once each turn, but that's fine. We are running Virtue of Persistence for a little bit more graveyard disruption. Of course, it has Lochthwain's Scorn, which target creature gets -3/-3 till end of turn, and you gain 2 life. Was, of course, Virtue of Persistence at the beginning of your upkeep. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So there is another one that we are running that no one else has run. I can't believe that people haven't done this, and that's Roaming Throne. Now you might be saying, well, there's nothing really in this build that, triggers Roaming Throne. No, but here's the thing. Okay, and we're going to look up a card here. Let's see, Hunted. Okay, we're going to look this up, if it lets me. Hunted Bone Brute. Now, this is one that the other decks are using quite a bit. It has Menace. It's a 6/2, which is nothing to sneeze at. But when it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2 1/1 dog creature tokens. When it dies, each opponent loses 3 life. So it is a good card. Do not get me wrong. I think that it is a good card to have in your build. We just don't have the wild cards to brew it at the moment. Plus, Roaming Throne, as a 4/4, it enters the battlefield. If it has Corpses of the Lost and has this down, oof, that's a big body right there. And plus, you have Tinybones. It triggers Tinybones twice. So there are some fun synergies with this build. Plus, like I said, it becomes a skeleton when it enters the battlefield. And it's just a really, really big body late in the game. We're not running a ton of big bodies in this build, only GRIXIS and the Roaming Throne. So I think it's a fine addition to the build. So that is our Cookin with Tinybones Skeleton Typal build. If you like what you see, please like, please subscribe. We'll go over the sideboard and the best of 3. If you're new to my channel, we do a best of 1 and a best of 3, so you can see how the deck functions in either one of those environments. So without further ado, let's get to the Cookin with Tinybones Skeleton Typal games, kids. And we are against the cowboy here. We go first. Okay, this is not too bad. Let's throw down a threat. What do they have? We against mono red. I tell you, the past 2 matchups we've had, Do Nothing Dimir. It's been Do Nothing Dimir and it was like a Golgari Obliterator build. And we're against control, maybe? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, it's one of those builds. Okay, cool. Now we need a, hey, a land is great. We can do Skeleton. Let's throw some aggro their way. If they have a temporary lockdown, we're in a little bit of trouble, but that's okay. I think we just try to outrace them, I think. I think we just Corpses of the Lost them. Temporary lockdown would suck, but throw down a Corpses of the Lost. And we're in good shape. Let's try it. I think they have a counter. No? Yeah, they're gonna have to kill something here. Alright, well, that's fine. Get them down to 1. I'm going to decline that. Simply because if they board wipe us... Okay, we go to the best of 3. We're against Eulogy for their best of 3 matchup. You need to have Souls of the Lost, or not Souls of the Lost, Corpses of the Lost in your opening hand. You have to have it. I mean, there's no other way around it. You're gonna need to figure that out. So we are waiting on our opponent to say whether we are going do this or not. And yep, there it is. Alright, great. So we're in good shape. I just hope they don't run any discard. Though I think any deck that you run, you're gonna have discard issues. But this is a great start, because we put down the miner, we put down the skeleton, Corpse of the Lost will curve out nice. In theory, let's see what happens. Oh hey, we can click on the little scorpion. Any other? Okay, cool. Ooh, Tinybones is fun. I think we do the miner first. There is also another deck I'm looking at doing. So there are a few decks this week that I'm like, for the rest of the week, that I'm like, ooh, we could easily do a few of these, and they would be really, really fun to do. And there's one deck that, you know, I definitely want to do a Gruul Rage build tomorrow. And then there's one deck that combines Collector's Cage with Fight Rigging. I need to get it a little more consistent, though, in order for it to be competitive. So I think I'm going to hold off on that for the moment and go from there. think we just go get damage across. I mean, they're taking at least 6. So, yeah, fun stuff. Board sweeps are a problem at this point, too. So, we do have to be mindful of that. Decline that for now. It's a Lumpire. Corpse Appraiser, huh? Alright, well, this is fun. Sure, go for it. Schism, they're gonna draw a card and mill a few. Oh, it's GRIXIS. It's a crime build. I gotcha. Voldaren Epicure, yep. Okay. Jeez. What? What is this happy crap? I love it. I love this for them. I mean, they're gonna need that Vampire's Vengeance or something like that. Blood Tithe Harvester. Okay, fun. And now they're gonna have to block, and this is basically a board sweep for them. Yeah. Okay, well, and again, you need Corpses of the Lost in this build, in your opening hand to make this a successful deck. And I've got to get my head around that, because there have been a few keeps where I've been like, why did I keep this? So you really need to have a very strong sense of when to play stuff with this build. Just making sure I was still recording. Can't tell you how many times I've recorded something and been like, yes, I pulled it off, and then I'm like, no. So I'm more than likely probably going to say I think this is a Grixis crime build, which I'm going to have to look into doing at some point. We're also working on a tapping noise you hear is me writing down notes. This has some good spot removal, but it's a 1-land hand, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to keep that at the moment. That we can do because we have we're on the draw, and we do have Corpses of the Lost. So let's see what we can fire off here against Eulogy. I do have to say, you know, this deck... Okay, there we go. Good stuff. I do have to say that this deck definitely needs... for me at least... Oh my goodness. I'm going to put that down. Actually, we're going to hold off on the Tinybones simply because I want to throw down a Wretched Sorrow. Corpse Appraiser, maybe? No. Good lord. Okay, do you have a counter spell? That would be the next thing. Yes, you did. Okay, good. You learned. There you are. Good stuff. Okay, so now we know they're running counter magic. We have to beware of that. Brass's Tunnel Grinder, eh? Oh, that's clever. Oh, is this one of the Resurrector builds? So we're gonna have to go quick then. I think it's one of those Resurrector builds. Deep Cavern Bat. Oh! Well, I think we're okay. What'd you take? You took a Tinybones. Weird. I would have taken the Sorrow. No, you have another Deep Cavern Bat. Well, that's a reason why. Took that. Fine. I'll just run you over. Okay, let's go to the post-game analysis as we continue to struggle a little bit in Platinum. Okay, so with this build, you have to have Corpses of the Lost in your opening hand, or at least within your first 2 draws, because without it, your skeletons are absolutely useless, and I really do think that with this deck, you need this card to let Tinybones cook. Let him cook! You're going to be cooking with heavy grease with this deck if you have Corpses of the Lost on the battlefield. I don't think that Gisa is good enough here. I think you can throw a Duress, 2 Duresses in there, or Dreams of Steel and Oil or something like that, because I don't really think Gisa makes much of a difference, because you're hitting so hard and so fast that you want to curve out as low as possible. I do think you keep Virtue of Persistence because of the fact that it does have that removal, but in all honesty, I don't think Gisa is a good fit in this build. Roaming Throne is a great finisher, especially if you have Corpses of the Lost on the battlefield. I really do think that that's good, but Gisa, as you saw in those builds in the games today, we hit so fast with this deck. I just don't think you're going to get a chance for her to see play. So I think maybe throwing in like a Duress or some sort of other hand disruption is a great idea. Alright, so if you like what you saw with this deck, again, it runs fast. It's designed to be that way. Please like, please subscribe, and as always, our magic miscreants, may you always be on the play. May all your spells hit the battlefield. Risen Dragon is out. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.